Shalom, all praises to Yahweh, Hashem, Shab, Hashem, Rakar, Dash. Double wonders unto the elder apostles of great news, rule well, and Shalom to the hopeful elect. This is Fire Allah. Title of this video will be Woe to the Bloody Sea. I got a couple precepts, but I want to build upon that point. Um, living in this, we're in the information age, where information is readily available. The technological advancements in the society has made a lot of people very optimistic as far as what the future holds, especially now as we move into, I believe it's the fourth industrial revolution with the information age, with the technology, under the premise or under the idea of biohacking, transhumanism, the merge, singularity, all these different buzzwords that are being used by the main gatekeepers in terms of heading into this, new world that they're trying to build. All right. With that being said, the optimism, you know, the greatest level of that optimism is the idea of being immortal. Okay. They're saying that they can, even when you deal with COVID-19, they were speaking about the mRNA. All right. I don't even know if that might even bloody be get this video taken down, but dealing with nanotechnology, being able to that's on one level, but then they speak of it on higher levels where it's able to have you have these this nanotechnology injected into your body, and then it can eradicate free radicals, cancer within your body, any cells that are degenerative towards your health. So in turn, what they're selling is the idea of mortality. But if you've been on the earth a little while, all right, not to say that, still very much so a young man, but there's, generations like the Gen Xers, Gen Z, sorry, where they basically speak to, speaking, singing to the tune of, you know, the world is at rest and things of that nature. But being someone that's, of the millennial generation, I've seen when I was speaking about, uh, doing a whole demolition man type of thing, where they, freeze your head, decapitate you after you're dead, put your head on ice, and then hold your body, and I forgot the word. There's a word for it where they keep your body on ice. But they spoke about doing those things and, working out on different tidbits of technology to basically, when they work out the kinks that can bring you back to life. And people spending an arm and a leg to, go through that process on a hope and a dream. All right. And now, more near the modern era, they're speaking about being able to download your consciousness onto a hard drive. All right. And this really just shows you the carnality of the mind, the minds of the people, in that they don't understand that there's a spirit. All right. And I forgot who it was specifically. All right. But it was, I forgot who it was specifically, but he spoke about, the soul. Right. When an individual, the scientist, I read a bit about it. All right. Um, but basically, this is very telling because when people die, it basically says that they lose a certain amount of weight within everyone, and that ideal, all right, basically was the saying of that's the soul. And really, this is why when you see someone dead, they have no, saying they have no life in them. They're pale. They look, like just a shadow of what they were. That's because you lose just the spirit, the light of, of your individual. So that's why you have that donors to that's why they have that donors to their parents. All right. And this is why it's saying, you can download your people talking about something that's from the fourth dimension could be downloaded. Really, it's an interface between the third and fourth dimension. You're saying that you can steal it from the Father of spirits, the Heavenly Father, and put it inside of a computer. They're just talking about, and a lot of people are falling for it because really all they need to do is just build an algorithm that's like onto, your personality. All right. And they showed you that in Black Mirror, one of the episodes. All right. But the point being is that Esau is a snake oil salesman. This man is prophesied that he'll come back into rulership, which he's in right now, and it was to deceive the nations. This is what we know that most people don't understand. So I'll quickly read this 21 grams experiment. All right. So it says 21 grams experiment. This is more common theory originating from a 1907 experiment by Duncan McDowell. Excuse me, Duncan McDougall, that claimed to show a loss of 21 grams at the moment of death. The film 21 Grams popularized this concept, which has been widely debunked by the scientific community. All right, and let's see. Uh, okay, so it was experimented on dogs. All right, but the point being is that not so much the experiment, but the point is that there's a spirit within you. All right, a light within you that's beyond the realms of the consciousness. But that's the thing about that. That's all down to faith. All right. That's the point of it all. All right. So let's get into this lesson. So I'm gonna open up with this. Nahum 3:1. Woe to the bloody city. It is all full of lies and robbery. The prey departeth not. All right. So one second. Okay, so I'll read again. Woe to the bloody city. So the word woe means destruction to the bloody city. All right. So there is a slated time for destruction for the bloody city. So let me look up the words in this. I haven't looked at them before. Uh, bloody. So the word there for bloody is blood. Also, excuse me, is dam. All right, which means blood. All right, blood of wine, figuratively. All right. Um, it's funny because the UK drillers say spill your juice, and that's the juice, the blood of the grape is likened unto that. But it says yeah, blood. So the word. Let's see if there's anything else to. Oh, that's it. So yeah, it says, "Woe to the bloody city! It's all full of lies and robbery." Right, and this kingdom that we live in, like I said, the guise of it all at this present time is under the idea of the fourth industrial revolution, biohacking, the world to come, immortality. It's full of lies and robbery. All right, and this is why the funny thing is you've seen the works, all right, of this kingdom. starting with the British, the British Empire, all right, the time of colonialism, imperialism, and also when you lead up to the time of America, which we're in the reign of America and its downfall. These are the main systems, well, really headed by America, being the woman that sat upon the beast, right, with seven heads and ten horns. All of that, that entity in its whole is a wicked entity that rules over the over the earth. All right. Now, like I said, when you deal with it from a root, the British Empire was really, when we don't even have to deal with Jake. All right. We can go to the heathen. You had things like dealing with China. All right. When you had feudal China, I believe it was feudal China, the warlords and whatnot. When it was a closed kingdom, you basically had the Opium Wars, whereby the Chinese didn't want to do no trade with the English. All right. But what did they do? They offered them opium and got them strung out, turned them into to bloody addicts, and then was able to open up the trade and really take advantage of them. All right. Deal with India. All right. The spices and herbs. And then really when you deal with um Jake, all right, and the kingdom of Israel and the kingdom of Judah, you had the so-called Native American Indians, Gad, Reuben, Issachar. All right, their land was stolen from them under the guile of treaties being signed, you know, and taking advantage of the good nature of the children of Israel, all right, the Gadites and whatnot. That they basically, didn't saw the land as, the land even it pertained to them, but it was something that was there for all to use. All right. But they learned the hard way that who they were dealing with was the devil incarnated. All right. And that basically, um, painted the land, red with blood. All right. Claret. And just turned their world upside down. Okay. And then you deal with the tribes, over in the land of, Ham, West Africa, where they were kept safely, as it tells you in the book of Revelation. All right. Basically taken in slavery upon ships, which is prophecy within the book of Deuteronomy 28. When all of that happened, that was, part of the lies and the robbery. All right. So it says, woe to the bloody sea is all full of lies and robbery. The prey departeth not. All right. And the victims are not departed. We actually hear, we know our people here in the Americas, all right, well, they're over in the Americas. And even when you deal with, by extension, you have various different of the tribes in their lands, whether it be in Americas, the Caribbean, and the remnant of, where they're scattered all over the earth. West Africa's a good show of that because they were subject to colonialism, all right? And that was a form of, uh, that's a history that's shrouded with a lot of lies and misconceptions. But when you really peel back the layers and you deal with the cities and the building up castles and whatnot that resided over there, you understand that a lot of those people were basically destroyed mentally, all right, and they were subdued by the Arabs and the Africans, that the true Africans and Hamitic people over there in the land, all right. So, woe to the bloody sea! It's all full of lies and robbery. The prey depart not, all right. And this place is a bloody city, all right. Blood is something that this man, you know, he enjoys the sight of, and even furthermore, he understands on a spiritual level that there's a life force within it, as it tells you in the book of Genesis, that basically you want to eat the blood of any animal. Why? Because basically it has a life force in it, right? That's where the life is. This is why you have things like Pizzagate, all right, whereby they were having children being kidnapped, and also the whole thing with Wayfair as well, where they said they were auctioning off kids. I think that was tied into Pizzagate actually, me quickly look. I got a couple articles here. Let me have a quick look. So it says, this is from Axis.com. It says online conspiracy theory links child trafficking to Wayfair furniture sales. Platforms including Reddit, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube have been playing host to a baseless conspiracy. That's what they say, conspiracy theory that picked up steam over the weekend, claiming that furniture e-tailer Wayfair is a front for human trafficking. All right, let's actually see where Wayfair is right. Whoops. Okay, yes, just a couple years ago. I'm sure it was tied to Pizzagate. It was in a similar vein. All right, but basically you had these things being said because they desired adrenochrome, and I was saying that the specific strain of blood that you need to get is that of a prepubescent child. All right, because of the compounds within the blood, basically have that adrenochrome. So these are things that you know it's all plays into the bloody city. All right, so let me move into this. Ezekiel says Ezekiel 35:5 says, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by force of the sword in a time of their calamity, in a time that their iniquity had an end. Right, and this is the thing. Like I mentioned, I went through the different times and things. But when you even take it up into this time and era right now, time of slavery is past, and really even the time of destruction of the so-called Native American Indians is past as well. But with that being said, there's still even now it's like an eradication of history. Right, you have Trump actively, or through use of his government, erasing, the accounts of slavery from the books of history. Um, even which is funny because I just thought about it now. You, I never thought that Tariq Nasheed might have sold out for the sake of pushing the FBA ideal in that there was no slaves brought to the Americas, all right? Because that coincides with the agenda of the day, which basically is trying to eradicate, make this man less less of a demon, all right? But these are the things that happen, all right? This is part of the nature of the beast. Without these things being done, this world wouldn't be where it is. Even when you deal over here in the UK, deal with the crown jewels. You had the theft over in the Louvre in Paris of what's this guy's name? Napoleon's jewels, where he basically had them stolen. They got two of the guys right now. But even with that being done, I forgot who the jewels belonged to. Believe it was, I want to say Haiti. No, it wasn't Haiti. Napoleon crown origin. Bloody hell, they don't want to say it outright. See, this is even part of the deception, right? Alright, man. There's no for me. It's I know I have to call me properly, but the point being is that these things are you know they're they're like earmarks. They're evidence against the wickedness that was done. So let's read again, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and has shed the blood of the children of Israel by force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end, right? Due to the end of slavery and things of that nature. Basically, you should have made right, all right? Which, funny enough, which is coming out right now, you're having far right, like but extremists, as they say, for lack of a better word, because I can't really describe. I don't know if they were actually attacking people or whether they were just speakers or whatnot. But you have videos coming out where they basically, there's a few of them speaking to their doctrine being that, you know, they want to offer that, you know, Jake gets sent back to Africa, even though they're not from Africa, all right, and be given reparations as far as giving them, saying they felt sorry for them and whatnot. So it really shows you that there was a time and an end whereby you could have made good, but what really happened, you turn up the furnace, man. You got you let that hate show, all right, through things like redlining, Jim Crow, different things like that. These things basically all, you know, are points against you as far as the judgment that's heading in your direction. Therefore, as I live, saith the Lord Yahweh, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Sith thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. Right. So the Heavenly Father is basically saying, Galatians 6 and 7, be ye not ignorant, the Most High is not mocked, for that which a man sow shall he also reap. All right. And the Heavenly Father, no one's exempt from that judgment. All right. The children of Israel, we end up in this situation because we were bound by a covenant of blood to the Heavenly Father to basically follow the law, statute, commandments. And by not following the things said, we're subject to the stipulations of the contractual agreement. That if you don't do what was agreed upon in its covenant, then you're gonna have these issues to deal with, these curses, these plagues that are gonna descend upon you, and we're subject to it. That's why it tells you in the book of Amos, the third chapter, that the Lord said, "You only have I known all the families of the children of the earth. Therefore will I punish you for your iniquities." All right. But then in saying that, that doesn't give everyone a pass because the Heavenly Father doesn't know them. That's not the case. And really, that's 2 points against Israel. I mean, Edom, because you took the covenant on, being one. And then the second thing is that we're the apple of the Most High's eye. And we was actually chosen over the children of Edom as well. So it says, verse 7, thus will I make Mount Seir most desolate and cut off from it him that passeth out and him that returneth. And I will fill his mountains with his slain men in thy hills and in thy valleys and in all thy rivers shall they fall that are slain with the sword. I will make thee perpetual desolations, and thy city shall not return, and ye shall know that I am the Lord Yahweh. Right, because as it tells you in the book of Malachi, the first chapter, he said that he was taken out, will return and build his desolate places, which he's done at this point we're in. But the Most High said that though he build, I will destroy, I'll bring down. And that's the time we're in right now, right? And we're seeing the makings of that right now, where you have Putin flexing bicep and saying that, look, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna destroy this place and whatnot. But then you also have Trump basically, matching that talk. But then it's come out, today, a little earlier, yesterday or so, that basically all of these missile testing, all the testing, all the infrastructure for missile testing is basically, it's got rust, all right? It's not functioning. There's been no money put into it. So here it is, America's been walking around walking up and down the earth, throwing their weight about, but the actual missile uh, artillery that they use for testing to prove their weapons and make sure they're good. Liken onto, sharpening your sword. All right. I can't be walking around with of course I don't have a sword, but hypothetically speaking, you couldn't have someone as, a master swordsman walking around, waving his sword all over the place, but every day wakes up or every day goes to sleep, or both times of the day he's not wetting his sword with a a, a rock to make sure it's sharp. And even then, making sure he's going through the motions as far as being apt to actually use his sword. All right, because really now when it comes to warfare, you're going to be caught out there, and this is what the Heavenly Father's doing. All right, he's preparing a destruction for this man that's ruling right now. So I'll read verse 9 again. It says, "And I will make thee a perpetual desolation. I'll make thee perpetual desolations, and thy city shall not return, and ye shall know that I am the Lord Yahweh." So I want to close out on this point. It's the book of Revelation 13:9 and 10. It says, "If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints." So with that, pray you edify to me. Sure.